Have you ever wondered why you keep attracting the same kind of love, even if you vowed to do things differently? What if the relationships you find yourself in aren't just about the other person, but about you, about what you've yet to face within yourself? In this video, we're diving deep into Carl Jung's powerful psychology of love and self-awareness, revealing how the love you attract reflects your internal state. This isn't just another video about love. It's an invitation to explore the most profound and often painful aspects of your emotional life. Have you ever felt like you're constantly chasing love, only to end up feeling empty or unfulfilled? The truth is, love isn't about finding the right person. It's about understanding who you truly are and how your past wounds shape your choices. By the end of this video, you'll gain crucial insights into the patterns you've been unconsciously repeating in your relationships. You'll discover how to break free from them and start attracting the kind of love that truly nourishes you. If you're tired of feeling stuck in the same emotional cycles, this is the key to unlocking real transformation. Stay with us until the end. You might just uncover the love you've been searching for all along. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please click the subscribe button and ring the notification bell to stay updated on all our latest content. Carl Jung's profound understanding of relationships was nothing short of transformative. He saw every relationship as an initiatory path, a journey of growth and self-discovery. Not every person who enters your life is meant to stay, but every single one has a lesson to teach. Some relationships show you what you truly deserve, while others reveal what you are still willing to tolerate. Some people come into your life to lift you, to encourage you to grow, while others will break you down, forcing you to confront parts of yourself you'd rather not face. But here's the truth. Pain is not the enemy. Pain holds the key to wisdom. Even in the chaos of emotional turmoil, there are whispers from your soul, messages that are desperate to be heard. Yet, so often, we ignore them, trapped in the illusion that love should always be smooth, easy, and comforting. We forget that love, in its purest form, is not about comfort, it's about growth. And sometimes, growth is painful. The hard truth is that most people are unwilling to see this deeper aspect of love. Behind every intense attraction, every romantic obsession, there is an echo of your past. A cry from the wounds of your personal history, begging to be healed. Sometimes, when you cling to someone, it's not because you truly love them, but because your wounds recognize something in them, something familiar, something that matches the pain you've carried for so long. It's not your destiny calling you to them, it's your shadow, that neglected part of yourself that you've buried deep inside. Instead of confronting it, instead of embracing that shadow, you romanticize it, justify it, and idealize it, pretending that it's love, when in reality it's just an unconscious longing to heal what's broken within you. When someone triggers your deepest fears, don't be so quick to run away. Sit with it. Observe the discomfort. Feel the anxiety, the tightness in your chest, the desperate need for reassurance. All of that, every reaction your body has, is not a reflection of the other person. It is a reflection of you. It is your inner turmoil coming to the surface, begging for attention, demanding that you finally face it. And here's the paradox that stings with truth. The more deeply you know yourself, the more the type of love you attract will change. Not because better people will magically appear, but because you'll no longer resonate with what you once called love, because what you called love was just a reflection of your own unmet needs, your emptiness. You'll stop confusing intensity with connection, control with commitment, and anxiety with desire. You will begin to see beyond the surface, to see what truly matters. And most importantly, you'll learn to say no when before you said yes out of fear of loss or rejection. But getting to that place of clarity isn't easy. It requires traversing the dark forest of self-awareness, a journey through the unknown, filled with uncomfortable realizations. It demands the courage to look backward without falling into victimhood, to look inward without judgment, and to look forward without any illusions about the kind of love you deserve. True love, the kind that is not based on need or dependency, is not something you stumble upon. It's something you build within yourself. Only when you learn to love and accept the broken parts of yourself will you stop searching for someone to fix them. True healing begins when you realize that no one outside of you can mend the wounds you've been carrying. The love you've been seeking? It's not something you find, it's something you create, starting with the love you give yourself. There comes a silent moment in every person's journey, a moment almost imperceptible, when something deep inside chooses. It doesn't announce itself, but without you even realizing it, it picks who to give your energy to, who to open your heart to. It's not your conscious mind making this choice. It's an older part of you, the part that's been accumulating memories, inherited beliefs, unresolved pain, and hidden expectations long before you even understood what love was. This part of you is still operating behind the scenes, and until you make the unconscious conscious, it will continue to direct your life, and you'll call it fate. That's the brutal reality we all face. The responsibility for our emotional choices lies not in the stars, not in fate, but in ourselves. Most people fall in love because they believe it's due to compatibility or serendipity. But the painful truth is that we often fall in love with what we lack, with what we wish we were, or with what we fear confronting. We fall in love with the freedom we refuse to give ourselves, the power we deny, the abandonment we've already suffered, and the wounds we've yet to heal. The other person becomes a symbol, a living, breathing representation of something unresolved in our hearts. And what we mistakenly call love is simply a dance of lacks, two people drawn together by their unconscious emotional needs, each one trying to fill a void with the other. Every gesture, every step, every word exchanged is not just a simple interaction. It's laden with unspoken emotional meaning. And this is the dance we continue to play day after day until we wake up and realize what we've been doing all along. The truth is, the love we attract is a mirror, reflecting to us the deepest parts of ourselves. What we see in the other is often a reflection of what we're avoiding in ourselves. So, ask yourself, when did you last love someone? Not because they were perfect, but because they helped you avoid facing your imperfections. The real work begins when you finally see the shadow in the mirror and embrace it, rather than running away from it. You're drawn to their confidence because deep down, you doubt yourself. You're captivated by their independence because somewhere inside, you've abandoned your own needs. You're attracted to their emotional distance because buried deep within you, there's a hidden narrative that taught you love must be earned, that it's something you beg for, not something you receive freely with dignity. Some people come into your life with an intensity that seems almost predestined. People who seem to read your soul, who stir your deepest emotions, who become a vital necessity, someone you feel you can't live without. They are the ones you imagine are your destiny. But here's the painful truth that we often don't realize right away, that intensity isn't always love. Sometimes it's trauma in disguise. It's not the person that's drawing you in. It's your nervous system recognizing a familiar, painful pattern. What feels familiar, even when it hurts, often feels like home. Because deep down, what you're seeking isn't another person. It's an emotional experience your body learned early on. If you grew up with love being unpredictable, you'll chase after instability. If you learned that love comes with pain, you'll cling to the one who hurts you the most. And all of this happens without your conscious choice, because you're not deciding it, your past is making these choices for you. This is where the real work begins, where the inner healing becomes crucial. It's not about shutting love out, nor is it about closing yourself off emotionally. It's about recognizing which part of you is choosing who to love. Is it your conscious, adult self, the one who knows what it truly deserves, who honors and respects itself? Or is it the wounded inner child, still holding out hope that someone will come and save it? See it, choose it once and for all. When your inner child chooses, love becomes a plea, a desperate cry for validation. But when the adult self chooses, love becomes a conscious decision, not an overwhelming need. It becomes about choosing to give love, not to fill a void. But to reach that level of awareness, you have to face all the masks you've been wearing. You need to peel away the layers of self-deception and look at your attachments with brutal honesty. You need to accept that often the other person wasn't cruel, they were simply showing you the parts of yourself you refused to acknowledge. You were the one who idealized them, who ignored the red flags, who settled for breadcrumbs and mistook attention for love. I know it's hard to admit, to see that you allowed this, but let me tell you, it's also liberating. It's freeing because it gives you the power back that you gave away. Once you accept your role in the story, you stop seeing love as something that happens to you, as something beyond your control. You start to see it as something you create, something you can shape, allow, and nurture. That is when everything changes. It changes the way you speak, the boundaries you set, and the conversations you have. You no longer need constant validation. You stop seeking someone to fix you. You become a strong, grounded emotional space. And from there, love ceases to be a roller coaster. It becomes a bridge, something stable and real. Jung understood that the love we attract is a mirror, reflecting not what we want, but who we truly are at our core. And while this insight may be poetic, it's also incredibly unsettling. If the love you attract is dishonest, distant, abusive, or unstable, what does that say about you? Not in terms of blame, but in terms of awareness. We don't choose to be hurt, yet many of us unconsciously choose people who know how to hurt us. It feels familiar. It aligns with the inner narrative we've been replaying for years, a script we've known all our lives but have never fully questioned. You attract what you believe you deserve, even if that belief resides deep in your subconscious. You attract from the energy you give off, when no one else is watching, from how you speak to yourself. When you're alone, from how you handle your emptiness, from your level of self-acceptance. The other person doesn't consciously choose you, they respond to the silent call you make. This is not fate or coincidence. It's the law of attraction at its rawest, responding not to who you think you are, but to the energy you project about what you deserve. That's why some people, without even realizing it, become magnets for imbalanced relationships, not because they seek them out, but because they haven't yet developed the self-awareness needed to protect themselves from what doesn't serve them. The love you attract serves as a mirror, revealing the depths of your self-knowledge. It's not about superficial qualities like beauty, intelligence, or even kindness. It's about your emotional vibration, the silent beliefs your unconscious has normalized, and the unresolved stories that live within you, waiting to be acknowledged. Love, then, isn't just a connection with another person. It's a profound tool for self-revelation. It's life's way of showing you your edges, those places in your heart and mind that you've either forgotten or neglected. Each relationship becomes a stage for your wounds to make their appearance. This is why so many of us love with fear, urgency, or dependency. We don't love from a place of fullness. We love from a place of lack, from the illusion that the other person will close a wound we can't even name. But the hard truth is that love doesn't heal what you're not willing to confront. At best, it will shake you, expose you, and show you what lies beneath the surface. And from there, you get to decide, will you use the mirror or will you break it? There's a deeply revealing power in watching how someone loves when they're not trying to impress you anymore, when the game of seduction is over, and only the raw, unguarded version of love remains. Jung understood that the most direct way to know someone's soul is by seeing the love they're capable of sustaining. Because love isn't just about who you choose to love. It's about how you love, where you love from, and what you're willing to face within yourself for that love. It's about going beyond the surface and seeing the hidden fears, insecurities, and vulnerabilities, both in yourself and the other. So many of us, myself included at times, seek love as an escape from our emptiness, our insecurities. That constant inner voice telling us we're not enough. We project onto the other person an idealized image, someone we hope will fill all the voids, heal all the wounds, and become our savior. But, as Jung wisely warned, this is not true love. It's an illusion, a shadow disguised as desire. Because when you love someone not for who they truly are, but for what they represent to you, what they can fix or fulfill, you're not loving them. You're using them as a means to an end. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons helpful, please comment number 1 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. And here's another uncomfortable truth. The love you attract doesn't depend on what you consciously say. It depends on what your unconscious needs to resolve. You attract those who, without knowing it, fit perfectly with your unhealed wounds. Often, this means you're drawn to someone emotionally unavailable, because somewhere deep inside, you've learned to protect yourself by keeping your heart closed off, unwilling to fully connect. Or you keep falling for people who don't choose you because, on some level, you don't fully choose yourself. Jung spoke of individuation as the path to becoming whole, an inner journey of reconciling all the parts of yourself, the ones you love to show, and the ones you hide even from yourself. Love plays a critical role in this journey, not because love is the destination, but because it's the very terrain where the unintegrated parts of yourself can surface. Loving, truly loving, forces you to be vulnerable. It forces you to lower your defenses, to allow someone to see your chaos, your untamed emotions. And in that raw, emotional nakedness, the things you've ignored or suppressed for so long will appear, demanding to be acknowledged. It's no coincidence that the people who are most avoidant of love are the ones who fear facing themselves the most. They know, even if they don't say it out loud, that true love means letting your soul be seen, not just your ego, not just the mask you put on for the world, but your real, raw self. That's why looking at the love you attract is an exercise in profound self-awareness. It's like looking into the clearest mirror, one that reflects not just your face, but the deepest parts of you. And though it may hurt, this kind of mirror can also be liberating. It shows you what you didn't even know was inside you. It confronts you with your limits, your contradictions, and your hidden attachments. But it also gives you the chance to choose differently, to heal, to break free from the patterns that have been controlling you. Once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it. The truth is out there, staring you in the face, and you now have the power, though it might take time and courage, to choose a new path. That's where love stops being a random accident and becomes a conscious, deliberate act. You no longer love out of hunger or need. You love from a place of abundance, from a place of self-acceptance and self-awareness. You no longer choose out of emptiness. You choose out of clarity. And you no longer attract love to fill a void. You attract it to share the fullness of who you've become. Jung explained that these intense relationships, these magnetic attractions, are often the result of powerful projections of the anima or animus, the unconscious feminine or masculine aspects of our psyche. When we meet someone who embodies these archetypal figures, we feel a magnetic, almost magical attraction. But what's happening is that we're not seeing the other person for who they are. We're seeing a part of ourselves projected outward. We fall in love with an image we've created, not the real person. And when that image inevitably crumbles, we're not devastated by the loss of the other person, we're devastated by the disillusionment of the fantasy we created in our minds. That's why when someone leaves or a relationship ends, we often feel like something essential has been taken away. It's not because that person truly belonged to us, it's because we assigned them an emotional role we considered vital. And what hurts isn't just their departure, it's having to face the raw, painful truth. Once again, the loneliness, the fear, the insecurity we've been avoiding for so long. But in this pain, there's also an opportunity for growth, for self-discovery, and for breaking the patterns that have held us captive in the past. Jung's words were clear and unflinching. What you don't make conscious becomes your fate. And when it comes to love, that fate is often woven into repeating patterns relationships that wear different faces but carry the same wounds. They keep resurfacing, time and time again, until you finally choose to look inward. There comes a point in life when you realize that the kind of love you attract isn't random. That realization doesn't always arrive gently. It often bursts in like a storm, as an emotional collapse that shakes your entire being. It might come when a relationship you thought was meaningful suddenly crumbles, or when you find yourself trapped in the same toxic patterns over and over again, with no understanding of why. That's when the mirror breaks, and for the first time, you see the truth of your choices. Jung understood that we don't attract what we want, we attract what we are. This truth can be uncomfortable, but it's also an invitation to dig deep and examine what's been hidden for so long, the part of yourself that you've been avoiding. Every frustrated love story, every connection that leaves you feeling smaller, every act of giving that ends in emptiness, these are not just about the other person. They are about you. They reveal an untold story of yourself, one that you've been too afraid to confront. Jung once said that the soul needs conflict to grow. It's in that tension, the tug of war between the old and the new, between what is dying and what is emerging, that true transformation happens. But here's the kicker: no one can walk that path for you. You can read the books, listen to the advice, and reflect on the past. But there will come a moment when you have to sit with yourself in complete silence. In that moment, you'll have to ask yourself, what am I seeking in the other? Is it love, or is it an anesthetic to numb my pain? Is it connection, or is it validation for my fragile ego? Is it companionship, or is it a refuge from the loneliness I refuse to face? The answers won't come quickly. They'll come in fragments, sometimes in the form of memories, sometimes through unexpected tears. But when they do come, they'll bring clarity. You'll begin to see more clearly than you ever have before. You won't seek love as a lifeline anymore. Instead, you'll begin to see it as an expansion of yourself. You'll no longer lose yourself in someone else's eyes, hoping they'll give you an identity, because you'll finally know who you are. And once you step into that awareness, everything shifts. The way you choose, what you tolerate, what you give, and what you allow all change. At first, you may feel lonelier because, as you heal, you stop fitting into dynamics that once felt comfortable. But understand this: that loneliness isn't punishment, it's cleansing. It's space being created within you for something far more real. When real love finally arrives, it won't be perfect. It won't save you from your deepest wounds or fill every void you carry. But it will challenge you to walk through life with greater awareness. It will ask you to share from a place of abundance, not need. It will help you see the other person not as someone to fix, but as a complete human being. And that's when you realize that love isn't just about who you attract, but how you position yourself within that relationship. You'll no longer approach love from a place of lack, but from presence. You won't seek it to fill an emptiness, but to celebrate an encounter. At this level, love stops being a spectacle or a dramatic chase. It becomes a space of depth, tenderness, and courage. It's about holding the other person without losing yourself in the process. And that only happens when you stop acting on autopilot, when you stop choosing out of desperation and start choosing with an awakened soul. The love you attract will always be a mirror. And the question is, are you ready to see what that mirror reflects? Jung believed that enlightenment isn't about imagining figures of light or basking in the warmth of false ideals. Enlightenment comes from making the darkness conscious, the places within you that are hidden, denied, or ignored. And it is in those depths that true love is born, because real love doesn't grow on the surface, in the personality we show the world. It grows in the deepest parts of our soul, where the unspoken, the denied, and the hidden live. And it's there, in those uncharted territories, that you begin to reveal who you truly are through the kind of love you attract. Perhaps you've loved someone with an intensity so profound, you still don't quite understand it. You gave everything you had, even parts of yourself that you shouldn't have. You despaired, forgave, justified, and dreamed until you were utterly exhausted. Yet looking back now, you can't comprehend how it all happened. But as Jung helps us see, every bond we form is simply a reflection of the primary bond we have with ourselves. It's not about blaming yourself, but about looking at the situation with raw honesty. What part of me believed that was love? That question is the beginning of everything, because it forces us to face the truth that love isn't always what we think it is, and it certainly isn't always kind. Many of us carry wounds so deep, they silently scream, "Love me," as I wasn't loved. And that very wound becomes like a compass, drawing us toward what's familiar, even when it hurts. That's how we end up chasing after people who reject us, idealizing those who fail to see us, desiring those who can't stay. We convince ourselves that this time it will be different. But, as painful as it is to admit, it never will be. Until we understand that the person who enters our life isn't there to complete us, they're there to show us how incomplete we are within ourselves. And that, right there, is the hidden beauty of love. Even when it seems to fail, even when it hurts beyond measure, it's doing something sacred. It's exposing your shadows, showing you your limits, teaching you about your emotional patterns, and giving you the chance to heal. No bond doesn't leave a mark. But no mark can be transformed into awareness if you're willing to look deeply. Why are you drawn to emotionally unavailable people? Why do you get entangled in impossible relationships? Why do you run when someone loves you well? These questions don't seek culprits, they seek awakening. When you begin to awaken, you realize that the love you deserve won't come to rescue you from your emptiness. It will come to meet you when you've made peace with it. Because as long as you're running from your loneliness, your silence, your truth, you'll continue attracting relationships that confirm what you already believe about yourself, that you're not enough, that you have to strive for love, that you must settle for crumbs. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons helpful, please comment number 2 below to let me know that you are still watching this video with me. But that is all an illusion, a facade built on wounded self-esteem. True, authentic love doesn't thrive in illusion, it lives in presence. Jung said, "What you don't make conscious becomes your fate." And in love, that fate often manifests in a repetitive cycle: attraction, euphoria, disappointment, emptiness, and it keeps repeating itself endlessly until you stop. You stop looking outside of yourself for answers, and you finally turn your gaze inward. That's where the transformation begins. Because when you heal, your energy shifts, and with that, the kind of people you allow into your life changes. You stop attracting from a place of lack and start attracting from emotional abundance. That's when everything feels different, looks different, and, most importantly, lives differently. But be warned, there's no magic formula, no instant fix. It's a process. There will be nights filled with doubt, uncomfortable loneliness, and relapses into old patterns. There will be moments of nostalgia for what once was, and that's part of the journey too. You cannot truly love without first facing your abyss. You cannot hold others in love until you've learned to hold yourself. You cannot say, "I choose you from freedom," until you've chosen with all your light, all your shadows, your wounds, and your power. When that day comes, you'll no longer need love to be perfect. You'll need it to be real. Real love is grounded in truth, in reciprocity, and in the space to simply be without masks or games. But for this to be possible, you must first shed the masks you've worn in an attempt to be loved. Love is not a stage where you play a role. It's a temple where two people meet in their truest form, willing to see each other and be seen. The most revealing thing about love isn't what the other person does or doesn't do. It's what love awakens in you, what it activates, what it unsettles, and what it transforms. Love is a doorway into the deepest parts of your psyche. If you walk through that doorway with open eyes, you'll realize that every relationship you've had was a message, a teacher, a mirror. Some showed you your shadow, while others illuminated your light. But each relationship brought you a little closer to understanding yourself. And perhaps that is love's highest purpose, to bring you back to yourself. In the end, it's not about how many times your heart was broken, but how many times you returned to yourself. How many times have you chosen not to close off? How many times have you chosen to keep loving without losing yourself? That's when love begins to shift. You'll understand that the love you attract is not random. It is a direct reflection of your internal state. It's a consequence of your beliefs, your emotional history, and your level of self-awareness. The love you attract shows you who you are, but it also shows you who you're willing to become. Every relationship, no matter how painful, has the potential to push you toward a more authentic, freer, more awakened version of yourself. When you choose to walk that path, something inside of you shifts permanently. Love is one of the most mysterious forces we experience. You don't choose who you love with logic or reason. It's a force that arises from a more ancient, primitive place. And Carl Jung understood that love doesn't just connect two people, it exposes the deepest parts of the soul. There's no deep bond that doesn't bring transformation. And every time you give yourself to love, you open a door to something far larger than yourself. Some people come into your life with a sweetness that disarms you, but also with a precision that cuts right through to your deepest insecurities. It's not by chance, it's synchronicity. It's the unconscious communicating with you, showing you that there's still work to be done. Have you ever wondered why you always end up with emotionally unavailable people? Or why are you terrified when someone loves you unconditionally? It may seem unfair, but the truth is that the answer isn't in the other person, it's in what you carry inside. Your emotional wounds, your unspoken desires, your hidden fears, they're the things drawing you to the people who cannot give you what you need. But when you face those wounds and begin to heal them, you'll stop attracting what doesn't serve you and start creating the kind of love you truly deserve. Jung spoke of the anima and animus as internal representations of the feminine and masculine aspects of the soul within each of us. These archetypes, shaped by our life experiences and the culture we've grown up in, deeply influence the kind of partner we are drawn to. It's not simply about tastes, interests, or compatibility. It's about an unconscious projection. We see in the other what is missing in ourselves. We idealize, we dream, we create an image of perfection, and then we suffer when that image falls apart. We mourn the loss, but the truth is, it was never real. It was a part of us, a part of our unresolved self, crying out to be seen and recognized. And that's where the real journey begins. Love stops being a battlefield, a place where we fight for validation, and it becomes a path of self-knowledge. The questions shift. Why do I seek validation outside of myself? Why do I confuse intensity with love? Why am I afraid to be seen for who I truly am? In every answer lies a seed of liberation, not because the pain disappears, but because it stops controlling you. You begin to see that the love you seek has always been waiting within you, but you first have to meet it in your reflection. This awakening isn't easy. Sometimes you must hit rock bottom in a relationship to finally see things. Sometimes you need to experience abandonment, betrayal, or indifference before you can realize that you've been abandoning yourself all along. And though that realization is painful, it can also be the turning point that changes everything. Because the love you deserve doesn't require you to sacrifice your true self, to hide, or to break to fit someone else's mold. The love you deserve begins when you stop begging for what you should have received from the very start: respect, presence, and truth. Jung made it clear that the most terrifying thing isn't facing the other person, it's facing yourself. That's exactly what authentic love provokes. It places you in front of the mirror and forces you to see your contradictions, your open wounds, and the fears you've hidden behind a mask of pride. But it also reveals to you your infinite capacity to rebuild, to love, and to forgive yourself. Because if you were capable of loving from a place of pain, imagine what you could love from a place of awareness. You begin to look back at the relationships and people who've crossed your path and realize they've all left something valuable behind: a lesson, a reflection, or a challenge. Some taught you boundaries, others taught you tenderness, some woke you up, others shattered you so you could rebuild yourself from the ground up. And that too is love, though it doesn't always appear that way. Love pushes you to know yourself, to take care of yourself, to listen to your own needs and desires. It brings you back to yourself, back to your truth. And when you return to yourself, love changes form. No longer will you need to convince someone to stay. No longer will you tolerate being treated less than you deserve. You'll no longer be drawn to drama or chaos, because something inside you has matured. You've touched your emotional bottom, and from there, you can begin to build something solid, not perfect, but real. Real love is about presence. It's about honesty. It's about the ability to say, this is who I am, and this is what I am not. When you come from that place, everything changes. You stop seeing love as something that happens to you, and you start seeing it as something you create and shape with every choice you make. Jung understood that the love we attract is a reflection not of what we want, but of who we truly are at our core. And while this may sound poetic, it's also unsettling. If the love you attract is dishonest, distant, abusive, or unstable, what does that say about you? Not in terms of blame, but in terms of self-awareness. The truth is, no one consciously chooses to be hurt, but many unconsciously choose those who already know how to hurt them because it feels familiar. It resonates with an internal narrative we've been playing on repeat for years. You attract what you believe you deserve, even if you don't consciously realize it. The energy you emit when you're alone, the way you speak to yourself when no one is watching, how you handle your emptiness, all of that influences what you attract. The other person simply responds to the silent call you make. And that's where everything starts, when you begin to realize that love is not about finding the perfect person, but about becoming the person who can hold love in its purest form, love that doesn't fill a void, but celebrates the fullness of who you are. There's no deep bond that doesn't leave a mark, but every mark can be transformed into awareness if you're willing to look at it deeply. Why are you drawn to cold people? Why do you get entangled in impossible relationships? Why do you run when someone loves you well? These aren't questions meant to place blame, they're meant to spark awakening. When you begin to awaken, you realize that the love you truly deserve won't come to rescue you from your emptiness. It will come to meet you when you've made peace with that emptiness. As long as you keep running from your loneliness, your silence, your truth, you'll keep attracting the same type of love. It's all an illusion built on wounded self-esteem. True love doesn't thrive in illusion, it lives in presence. Jung said, "What you don't make conscious becomes your fate." And in love, that fate often plays out as a repetitive cycle. You attract the same patterns over and over until you stop looking for answers outside of yourself and begin to look inward. That's where the real journey begins. Because when you heal, your energy changes, and with it, the kind of people you attract changes. You no longer attract from lack, but from emotional abundance. And that feels different, looks different, and lives differently. But remember, there is no magic. This transformation takes time. There will be nights of doubt, uncomfortable loneliness, relapses, and nostalgia for what once was. But that is part of the path. You can't truly love until you face your abyss, until you choose yourself light, shadows, wounds, and all. And when you do choose yourself, you'll stop begging for love. You'll stop settling for crumbs. You'll stop tolerating the things that once made you feel wanted. Because love is not about survival, it's about thriving. And that's when everything changes. That's when you will finally see how love can be an act of freedom, not fear. And you'll understand that it wasn't fate all along. It was your growth, your willingness to evolve, and your ability to choose what you truly deserve. And that's where the journey truly begins, when you realize that love is not about finding someone to fill your void, but about discovering the depth of your soul and embracing every part of yourself. So, what have you learned from this journey? What insights have resonated with you? Take a moment to reflect and share one thing you've learned that you'll bring into practice in your own life. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video meaningful, please leave a comment, like it, and don't forget to share it with someone who might benefit from it. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to continue this exploration of self-love, growth, and transformation. Together, let's keep walking this path toward deeper self-awareness and more authentic love. See you in the next video.